Y'all, what if Malcolm Jamal Warner didn't drown like they told us? Because what's coming out now, what his wife is allegedly saying behind the scenes, could flip everything you thought you knew upside down. This isn't just some wild theory. It's a grieving woman naming names, pointing fingers, and calling out powerful people who she says don't want the truth to come out. And now, she's done staying quiet because she's claiming Malcolm was taken out. Not by an accident, but by something far more sinister. So, if this wasn't just a freak drowning, then what happened? Let's break it all down. Malcolm's wife has allegedly spoken out anonymously. But don't let her silence fool you. This woman isn't whispering. She's roaring. She's not revealing her identity because she's still protecting their daughter. But she's exposing everything else in her first move. She shut all the way down the drowning story. In her words, there's no way Malcolm drowned. She says the autopsy revealed something huge. There was no water in his lungs. None. Think about that. If Malcolm didn't have water in his lungs, he didn't drown. At least not in the way the media's been pushing. Which means something else happened before he ever hit that water, and she says that something was murder. She believes Malcolm was poisoned, quietly, carefully, with something untraceable. And then, he was pushed into the ocean just to stage the whole thing like an accident. Let that sink in. This wasn't some rip current tragedy. Malcolm was a strong swimmer. He'd trained in the water. People said he was one of the best among his peers. Rip current or not, he could have survived if he was conscious. And here's the kicker. Witnesses said he was totally unresponsive even when people were trying to help. Like his body had already shut down, and then, somehow, on a crowded public beach with smartphones everywhere, not a single video or photo of the actual incident ever surfaced. Not one. So, now the question is loud and clear. Why? Y'all, Malcolm wasn't just an actor. He was becoming a problem, because he had a platform and he was using it. On his podcast, Not All Hood, Malcolm was calling out the industry for its hypocrisy. The way black artists are chewed up and spit out, and the silence expected of them in return. He exposed the double standard, how Bill Cosby's entire legacy vanished overnight. While white men like Woody Allen and Roman Polanski still got airplay, he called it out loud. He warned about how execs stir up chaos in the black community on purpose, fanning the flames of rap beefs, pushing division, and cashing checks while black culture burns. And he even named names, not people, but patterns. That's what made him dangerous. He wasn't ranting. He was breaking things down, calmly, clearly, and fearlessly. And then, the threats started. His wife says that Malcolm began receiving anonymous calls and messages, ones that weren't just hateful, but terrifying. They didn't say stop talking. They said, stop talking, or your family will suffer. Malcolm, she says, tried to stay calm. But every time one of those calls came in, his whole energy changed. That's why he went to Costa Rica to clear his head, maybe to stay safe. But, days later, he was dead. And the part that's haunting. His final podcast, Malcolm hinted that he was ready to go all in. That he was preparing to expose everything, and now, he's gone. And the truth he was about to share died with him. Let's rewind. Because none of this is adding up. This was a public beach. There were bystanders. There were lifeguards. There were phones. Yet somehow, there's no footage. No verified witness reports. No timeline. No real explanation for why he went into the water. And what about the other man who was in the ocean with him? His identity? Still a mystery. He survived. So did Malcolm's 8-year-old daughter. But only Malcolm died. How? Why? Even the autopsy report, the full version, still hasn't been released. Not to the public. Not even to the family. The Costa Rican officials ruled it accidental. But they've given almost no real details. So the question is simple. What are they hiding? This isn't the first time this has happened. We've seen this before. Black men in power who speak truth, challenge systems, and lift the curtain, and then they're gone, out of nowhere. Suddenly, tragically, and always. Mysteriously, from Sam Cooke to Michael Jackson to Chadwick Boseman. Every time, it feels too convenient, too quiet, too unfinished. And now, Malcolm's name might be added to that list. Malcolm's wife isn't backing down. She might be nameless, faceless, but she is fearless. She says Malcolm didn't drown. She says someone wanted him silenced. And she says she's not letting that happen, not without a fight. This isn't just about grief. It's about truth. It's about justice. And it's about making sure that this time, the story doesn't end in silence. Because now, the world is watching. And they're finally asking the right questions.